Our next guest is a talented actor taking on an important new project. Bellamy Young made her TV debut right here on NBC in 1995 on the soap opera Another World.
And then, of course, you would go on to star as First Lady Melly Grant in that hit series Scandal.
And now Bellamy has teamed up with humanitarian organization CARE for a podcast called She Leads with CARE to coincide with International Women's Day. And Bellamy Young is here with us in person. How are you?
Hey, Bellamy.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome home.
Although that hurt a little bit. See that Another World? That was from another time.
Oh, you look fine.
If you look at that person, who is that?
Oh, she was happy to be there.
Oh, I bet.
I had fun
bet.
on that show.
So, for people who don't know, CARE is a humanitarian organization. I think it's wild that they have been responding to every major crisis in the world since World War II.
It was really born out of people just wanting to help people. You know, it was after the World War, and people thought, oh my goodness, there's so much need in Europe. And that's how the CARE package started. Just people giving what they could to people who needed things. And from that, the whole organization has grown. And it's very bespoke like that. They go into local places and they assess what's necessary by asking the people who live there and then ask them to help build rubric to create sustainable change. I mean, their goal is really their own obsolescence. They just want to help people transform their own lives and then let them thrive.
How did you get involved?
In 2018, CARE came onto my radar, and I was so impressed by this sort of teach a man to fish ethos. And they also tend to focus on women and girls, because when you bring up women and girls, they bring up their families and their communities with them. And I couldn't believe the work that they were doing. And I just loved it. My first trip with them was to Rwanda in 2019. And it was really life-changing to see what's possible when we care about each other.
So the idea of the podcast is kind of interesting, in that podcasts are all, I mean, you can't throw a stone without hitting a podcast. But
true.
Did it take a change in mindset, because you're used to doing a lot of scripted, but this is an unscripted conversation that leads to something good?
I thought of this during COVID because I felt so alone and disempowered. And I was really leaning into some of CARE's work, just the stories of personal transformation, because they gave me a lot of hope. And I thought, I need to find a way to share these stories with people. And so that was the perfect way, just to focus on the story. You know, we don't have to look pretty or get the lights going or anything like that. Just heart to heart, asking questions, listening to how people, with just a little help, have changed everything and have changed their communities too. And it's been such a labor of love to get to go deep with these women and get to learn more about each of the cultures, but also realize at the end of the day that we're all so much alike. I mean, what we face, what we need, what we want, what we dream. And we'll all be on both sides of this equation. We will all need help. At some point, and we will all be able to give help at some point. And so this is just a nice way to remind each of us on each side of the seesaw how important our roles are.
I like that description, the seesaw. You know, what I love about the concept is you talk to these women leaders, different every episode, Tanzania, Nepal, Ukraine as well. When folks listen to the podcast, what do you hope they take away from it? Is it a call to action? Is it what's the takeaway?
I hope that first of all, I hope they're inspired by the stories that they heard, and I hope that they can remember that we can all be agents of change in our own life, and that when we just engage a little bit, the ripple effect can be so large. So even if it's making sure that the girls in your life, speak to them about financial literacy, make sure they know what's going on. Maybe your neighbor needs you to watch their kids for an hour because they're going through a hard time, or bring them dinner or something. But also support CARE's work, because they do incredible things around the globe, and it's fundamental to really be there for each other.
Yes. So big or small,
small.
Everything helps.
It does. It does. Just remembering that we're all connected.
Thank you, Bellamy.
Hey, really quickly, what would you tell the Bellamy we saw in that clip today?
Maybe grow your hair out and enjoy every minute, because it is such a fun ride. Like getting to be an actor. I mean, it's the most fun in the world. And then sometimes you get to, try and raise up other people's voices too. So all good.
Fun. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're such
I
a
appreciate
light.
it.
You can catch the She Leads with CARE podcast. It starts March 11th.
Wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.